Everyone. Everyone hear me? If you can just put your green tick on if you can hear me, please. Brilliant. I'm expecting a few more to arrive. I have had a few emails of people having some difficulty getting on today's one. I'm not too sure. Catherine, can you just put yours on mute a sec? I can hear you. Anyway, thank you for everyone for coming today. So today's session is on quality and standards. So hopefully you've all filled in or completed the online module and you found it all useful and helpful. So we've done audio. Like I've said in all other webinars, just make sure that everything's closed down in the background so you're not getting distracted. Turn your phone off so you can participate fully in the session. So, as I said, today's session is building on the module that you should have completed earlier this week. We've got two presenters today. Catherine from the Quality Assurance Agency, who's going to be doing a presentation, and her role at QAA is the Stakeholder Engagement Coordinator. So looking forward to that. And then we have got Bethan as well, and she is from NUS, and she is the Policy Engagement Manager. And she will be doing some presentation on kind of how to make change through quality. So we've got some good sessions today, which I hope you enjoy them both. As usual, in terms of if you want to chat or make a comment, please comment in the box on the right-hand side, and I'll try and answer some questions for you there and then, and you can ask any questions of the presenters at the end of their session or during the session. So today, myself, Catherine and Bethan are all in separate locations, so please bear with us with any kind of technical errors that might happen in terms of switching over the presenter kind of hosting for them to be able to kind of control the presentation. So what I'm going to do first now is hand over to Catherine. She has said that she can't hear me, so I'm not too sure what's on her end, but I will double check that for. So I'm Catherine on for you.
Hello. This is my first ever webinar, so please bear with me. I'm a massive technophobe, as is my colleague Carl, who will be helping me out today. So no doubt there'll be some hilarious moments for us where we get utterly confused by the whole thing. Yes, obviously today I will be doing the quality code and chapter B5. And some of the logistics, I'll ask you to put your hands up. Speak. I'll try and be watching the chat box with my colleague Carl, who's gone to get a coffee. He might need it because this might be a bit stressful. But we will also be breaking out into breakouts which have been preset for you, and that's just an activity we'll be doing later. I'll be presenting one of the breakouts and Amelia will be presenting the others, so you know us both now. And I might ask you some questions and you just put your ticks and crosses. So we'll start with the basic one. Did you hear me and did you all understand? If you did, please put a tick. Magic. Amazing. I think it's my life. Excellent. So let's move on. So what we're looking at today is I'm just going to introduce you to the role of QAA, help an understanding of the quality code, introduce chapter B5, student engagement, which is obviously the best chapter there is in the quality code, and they'll begin to look at how to do an action plan off that chapter and what you can do with that. So at QAA we have a game that we love called Sit Down If, and this normally make everyone stand up and they sit down if this applies to them. My colleague Carl's about to come back in the room, so I might have to tell him to be quiet. But so what I'm going to get you to do is put your little hand symbol up me. So you take your little ticks down and put your hands up. Yeah? And what to do is I'm going to say a statement, and if this applies to you, take your hand down. Okay? So, for example, I might ask you to put on if your email. Hey, there we go. You fill, yeah, back up. Okay, email, you can put your hand up now. We'll start then. Okay, so put your hand down if you've heard QAA. Sorry. Put them down if you never heard of the quality code. Good stuff. Put down if you have ever attended an event by QAA. Ooh. Put them down if you've heard of our review process, higher education review. Oh.
But they don't know about HER.
No. Okay. Put your hand down if you've ever visited us in our head office in Gloucester. Okay. And the last one, put your hand down if you knew that our logo is meant to be a mortarboard from the top angle. Gloucester. Oh, top on, but down. Okay, that kind of gives us an idea of where we're at. So, it's actually an independent body and a registered charity and company limited by guarantee. The idea is that we're a government body, but we are independent and we are contracted to after quality assurance. We were founded in 1997 and we buy subscriptions and HE funding bodies. Lots of institutions to be reviewed by us to subscribe to us to go through that process. We do two major things. Yeah, and we also support the standards and promote quality enhancement through reference points and guidance. In college manage their standards and awards themselves. This is done through things like validation panels, examiners, annual monitoring, and QAA's role is to check that checking. And we set those expectations out in the quality code, and we do reviews to check they meet those expectations. So, what is the quality code? I am going to try and share a video with you now. Hopefully it works. Can you see my desktop? You should be able to now.
What's the UK Quality Code for Higher Education? The UK Quality Code for Higher Education is to assure the academic standards and quality of UK higher education, wherever it's delivered. The Quality Code was put together by QAA with input from universities, colleges and students. What does the code cover? It consists of three parts. Part looks at the academic standards that universities and colleges set and maintain for the award of their academic credit or qualification. The academic quality and how universities and colleges support students to enable them to achieve their awards. C looks at the information produced by universities and colleges about their academic provision. How does it work? Each of the quality code contains an expectation. These set out what universities and colleges expect of themselves and each other, and students and the public can expect of them. For example, Chapter 5 is on student engagement. The expectation sets out that higher education providers take deliberate steps to engage all students, individually and collectively, as well as in the assurance and enhancement of their educational experience. Under each expectation, there are a number of indicators of sound practice. These help universities and colleges demonstrate how they meet the expectation. Quality code used. Colleges use the quality code to maintain the academic standards of programs and awards, and enhance the quality learning opportunities, and produce information about the education provision that is fit for the purpose. And the Students' Union, the Quality Code, in discussions with their universities and colleges about enable them to achieve their awards. QA reviewers use quality code to judge whether universities and colleges meet UK expectations for academic standards, quality, enhancement and information.
Hope. Yeah, ticks for if it works. Brilliant. So it's the basic introduction to the quality code. I'm just the expectations again. So each chapter of the quality code will have expectation, which is the thing that institutions and higher education providers are mapped against. Under those we have indicators which are how they show they're meeting expectations. So when institutions and higher education providers are reviewed, they're not expected to meet the indicators, but if they are, that tends to show that they are generally meeting the expectation. And the explanation often provides just understanding and guidance and to useful practice guides and other areas of things we're doing. So anybody have any questions or they'd like clarity on or anything that I've not been clear on? Excellent. So one to one chapter in particular, which is chapter B5. And chapter B5 has obviously one expectation, which is education providers take deliberate steps to engage all students individually and collectively, partners in the assurance and enhancement of their education experience. It has 7 indicators we're looking at briefly today. This chapter was launched in 2012, so it's been going for 2 and a bit years now. So this expectation, in the chat room, which words do you think are the most important parts of this expectation? Mm-hmm. Okay. Partners. Yeah. Delivery. What would you say partners? Would we? No. Yep, that would be a good reason. I'm going to ask Mel, but I'm going to unmute you, Mel, if that's okay. Can you explain to people why you think collectively is a good one?
Hear me. Collectively, in the respect that I think there's a feeling that the institution will basically say what they think the students shouldn't do or be involved in, and I think that collectively you have to listen to the student as well. You can't enforce your on them, so if you do it as a collective, you come to a joint agreement, a shared agreement, and you've got a better chance of buy-in from both sides.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I'll meet you again now, Mel. Okay, and then I'm going to pick you. Why individually and collectively do you think? Do you want to? Ooh, okay, thank you. And then we have Tom. I'll unmute you. So why do you think deliberate steps is an important word in this aspect? Ooh. Tom there. Those are all the key words that we pick out. We often deliberate steps is a key one because it's about institution higher education provider deliver this. It's not just something that happens to happen. They have put a systematic attempt at trying to engage all their students. Is their and in their committee structures and in everything they're doing. So I'm going to start a key indicator first, which is indicate. This is one of the 7 indicators, the third one obviously. I've already highlighted the keywords and phrases that we've picked out. I've picked this indicator because in my previous role, this was the indicator that I struggled the most with. And it's the arrangements exist for effective representation of the collective student voice at all organisational levels, and these arrangements provide opportunities for all students to be heard. Thank you. One that we find people struggle the most with. What we're going to do now is we'll put you into your breakout sessions for about 10 minutes, and we're going to look at this action plan for this indicator. So it looks at certain things. In aspect, you have things to consider, so questions to consider when you're doing it. And the second area is looking at mapping where you are and where you want to be. So the group that is with those 3 questions at the bottom, where we are now, where we want to be, and any good practice examples. And the group looking at things to consider will be with Amelia, and they'll consider those questions from institutions. Amelia, can you put them in a breakout groups, because I can't remember how you do it.
Yeah,
or do I have to pick
that now? And so you all should get kind of a little pop-up on your screen saying that you're in a particular breakout session, and then you should either be able to hear myself, Amelia, or Catherine talking in that session. You can type. So I will do that now. Please hang on yours. I've moved anywhere. But it just won't let me start it, so I'm not too sure.
Keep a little bit. Now?
Yep, brilliant, thank you. I will just press start, so you should all go into your breakout sessions now.
Hello. Hello. Your breakout session done?
Yes, I finished it. I think we had a bit of a problem. Someone was missed out because I think they came in a little bit late. I think that was Gail. I'm not sure if it worked when I tried to add you to one of the sessions. But I'm sorry if you didn't end up being in a session. I don't know what happened there. Was Gail in your session, Catherine? Do you know?
No, she wasn't. I had Tom and we apologise if I'm saying your name wrong. But
yeah, I think there's something that happened with Gail there because I think she's a little bit late. So I'm sorry about that, Gail, but I can update you on what we spoke about in our breakout sessions. So I'll hand back.
What did you talk about then?
We kind of spoke about what they thought. What they thought kind of the collective student voice was at all organisational levels. So we spoke about how high up thought that this student voice would go. So in terms of governing boards, senior committees, down to faculty and department levels, and all the way down to course representatives. We had a think about do they think that students understand the governance structures and where to take issues, and some of the participants said that they don't necessarily think the university understands governance structures, and that is something that they find quite difficult. And also about students being trained to be able to sit on these type of committees and actually give good strategic input, and are they supported to do that, and how far are they actually representing student views with such a diverse kind of student population, really.
Yeah, really questions about how to represent and the kind of gaps in knowledge and how to get there. It's often something we should struggle with, and this is why indicator 3 is often really hard. So our group talked about how it's already done and what and where to be in good practice. And so we talked about the fact that sabbatical officers are seen as representing all students, whereas they'd rather see current students. We also talked about using course boards. I think we came to the conclusion that your rep structure should really reflect your organisation structure. So in having a course rep trying to go to a high level meeting, you have a rep for that high level instead, so that actually your representation system is appropriate for your organisation. We also talked a little bit about engaging with those difficult students, and that often we only ever get the opinions of 18 to 21-year-old full-time students. And really, mature students, I think one of us said that 50% of their student body was mature or satellite, in which we talked about the use of this technology like webinar and Skype and video conferencing being quite useful. Again, we discussed, we were doing some options about having specific reps to reflect those diversities. So if you've got 50% mature students, probably you need mature reps. And looking at working 9 to 5, I think there were some issues considering using staff and cost implications. This idea of kind of shifting away from this 9 to 5 attitude, because education is 24 hours. So that'd be useful, and hopefully you kind of got some idea out of it. The main thing that we're talking about when we're doing action planning is that there's no point doing it in isolation with your university. So you're from universities and some of you from students' unions. You all understand partnership, and the fact that these decisions have to be made considering the other partner. Because I'm not going to work with one person buying inanely. So today's session was really just looking at what the role is, introducing to the quality code, considering chapter B5, and doing the first stage of the student engagement action plan. The action plan, we have a longer version which includes the expectations and all the indicators will be sent out to you following this session. Alongside chapter 5, I can advise you read the explanation because it will send you to good practice guides and will give you some tips, help you spot that good practice. But that is me done for the day, hopefully. So thank you all very much. I hope you got something out of it. I will now pass the presenter ball over to Bethan. Hope this works. Oh my God. Can you send the presenter ball over? Thank you, Tom. I'm glad with the fire alarm as well.
We can hear you, Bethan. I can hear you anyway. We'll get Bethan sorted. I can see she's got her mute on, so you can't hear her, so I've just told her. So hopefully she will take that off. Yep, that's better. We can hear you. There you go. If everyone can put a green tick to make sure everyone can hear Bethan now.
Yeah, let me see, King. There. Good. So, Gail, can you hear? Yeah.
Gail is on iPad, so she a chat box, so she's just said she can hear, so she's all good.
Fab. Excellent. So I should be able to flip over to the slides. There we go. Great. So, hi, I'm Bethany Das, and I am the Policy Engagement Manager at NUS. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today, in the next 20 minutes or so, a little bit about how we can use quality systems to make change to students' education and different mechanisms for doing that. Some of you might already be familiar with, and hopefully some of you will be a few new ideas as well. Pretty similar to Catherine's session, where I'll ask you to participate in the chat box. I don't think we're going to have time for a breakout session, so I'm going to do it differently, but hopefully you'll get to participate quite a bit as well. So the first, there you go, in the next 20 minutes. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you briefly about towards the end of the session was the fact that there is what quality can look like in the future, how we need students' unions to engage in a review of quality assurance that the Higher Education Funding Council is running. It's quite a big consultation. When we look at how students can make change in their teaching and learning and change through quality, apparently there's just one. There are three fairly obvious levels of influence. One, of course, one is your institutional level, but also there's a national level. Catherine already spoke about the quality codes, and we can have a little bit of a chat later about how we can, as the student movement, involve ourselves in developing those. So if we think about the course level, that's not supposed to happen at the end. Anyway, I'll go on. Given all the answers away now, if we level, in books, and if you didn't catch those, that would be good, but can you talk about any ways in which students can engage in making changes to their course and can do that? Yeah, course room. Yeah. Tom? I'm with tutor. Yeah. Tom. Yeah, so the big reveal. Yes, right. There's lots of different mechanisms. So there's there's some things that most courses should have. So including module feedback questionnaires is something that is fair standard amongst kind of how is the tutors look at the quality of courses. This is a fairly passive way of giving feedback and making change to a course. However, you sit under the module and review what's happened to you. Where on the right-hand side of the slide here, there's actually, some of you mentioned some of them as well.
much more active ways that students, and we can encourage students to get involved in developing the quality of their course. And instead of looking backwards, look forwards. So I think, who's my chat box has gone? What's it gone? About getting students involved in the design of the curriculum right from the very start. Annually, or when a course is newly being developed, have students involved in saying what they want that curriculum to look like. And that can actually go all the way down to the individual assessments and individual modules. So it could be for the whole course and having students involved in the development of an entire new program, or at the start of the year saying, okay, well, these are the learning outcomes, but how do you as a class want to know those things? How do you want to be assessed on those things? And there's huge opportunities for things around student-led content, not just saying and developing with a tutor what they want, but actually delivering it themselves and being fully in charge of that content themselves and how they can make those changes that they want to the course by doing it themselves. And also, as some of you mentioned, chatting to your tutor or giving that instant feedback at the end of a session. So you'll be able to have a much more ongoing developmental changes to the quality of a course rather than just waiting to the end and finding out what was wrong. Are all of you familiar with kind of periodic reviews or course reviews that your institution might have? If you know that your institution does this kind of thing. All of you. That's good. So finding out how, or if you perhaps you already know, finding out how your students are those course reviews. So not just in asking their the course, but also how are students involved in the decision making about the quality of that course in kind of the audit panel, on that review panel, on that discussion, being equals in that discussion. To the institutional level. So if you can use the chat box and suggest any ideas about what ways students might be able to change things at the institutional level regarding the quality of their learning experience. Ideas do you have? Expand the chat. Okay. Deliberate, what do you mean by that, Gail? Tom, is that it?
Yeah, no, we just lost you for a second then. I'm not too sure what happened. Okay.
Maybe the internet's out. Anything different. So, Tom, when you say campaigns, what do you mean? To whom? Change.
Your voice again. Mm.
I don't know. Is that better?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna switch my video off because I think that might help. Maybe there's something with the connection.
Okay, now.
Yeah, I think it was having the video and the microphone. What I was just saying about campaigns is when we're talking about targeting institutionally, what we generally want to look at is changing policies. When campaigns change practice, then we want to talk to actual practitioners. So that's much more at an academic and a course level. Does that make tick if you kind of, yeah. So we're talking about what changes we want to make. We have to be really clear on what we're trying to change. As you can see from the slide, there's a couple of ways in which you can make change at an institutional level. So as kind of you can have student representation on various decision-making committees, but also not just the committees like academic board, but the quality assurance committees that your institution will inevitably have. So how are students involved in that? So what I was getting at with the campaigns and what you guys were getting at, I think, is influencing the actual policies which support teaching practice. So talk about learning, feedback policies, assessment policies, technology, learning resources, all of these things that your institution will have that support the learning environment are things that you can influence to make sure that the quality and changes made for students. But of course, some different ways of students. So as we have co-design of your course, you can also have co-design of quality processes. So it's involved in actually deciding what quality looks like. You probably have a series of committees, and we mentioned the periodic reviews, but who was deciding that was the best way to see whether quality is happening on your courses? Put your hand up if you've heard of a student written submission. Familiar, thank you. I'm familiar with the idea of an annual submission. Sort of. So submission is something you submit to the QA alongside your institution's review. There have been developing amongst students' unions with the support of the QAA the idea of developing an annual student written submission for your institution. This doesn't go to the QAA, but annual light touch review using all the information that you have to hand, so be that information from course reps, the NSS, other things that are going on in your institution, to kind of have across your institution of your course in an annual way, which means by the time you get to the time for your quality review from the QA, you should have 5 or 6 years worth of submissions that say this is a problem or this is something that's really going to keep it. You come to write your student written submission, most of the work's already done. But it's also a great way of having an ongoing conversation with your institution about some of the things that you know need to be changed. Yes, there are lots of case studies, and Amelia can help you with that. And it was TCEP that supported the written submission project. A really great way that you can influence change through quality, kind of keeping on top of it as well. Move to the we've only got a couple of minutes left, so we'll have another chat. The national level. So there are a number of different ways that you can influence at a national level. And in particular, it's responding to make sure that student voice is there and responding to consultations on various aspects of the quality code. So the QAA review these on a semi-regular basis, different chapters, different bits, and want people to input into those. In particular, I believe there's a review around quality and international students and internationalisation at the moment that the QAA are running, and making sure that you and your students' union input into those things are really helpful in kind of influencing quality at a national level. Also, you're a student, become a reviewer on the review team that go into and that's been running for a good few years now, and student reviewers are equals in all sense to all the other reviewers on the review team. Equal. So Catherine's saying yes to all of these things. The student sounding board, which Phil, staff do participate on the QAA student sounding board. And so they can be involved in that way in particular. We at QAA try and involve students' union staff that have an interest and an expertise in quality assurance and enhancement. And then just generally engaging in national debates and in discussions that are ongoing. And in particular, as I mentioned earlier, is the HESCI's fundamental review of how they assess quality in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. So some of you might have seen some emails or some information from NUS over the past couple of months, but HESCI announced in the autumn that they were reviewing this, and they put their consultation out in January, and it is open until the 27th of February. So you can go online now onto HESCI's website and download the consultation. NUS will be responding to this as well, but if you want to put in a response on behalf of your students' union, I can only encourage you to do that and thinking about what quality could look like in the next 10 years. So it's a really quite a fundamental review. So the kind of 6 minutes that we've got is about part and kind of the thing that all of this in making change. So I've kind of dashed through a number of different mechanisms that you can use to make change, but the approach that we take, and we've talked about it already, and how we do that is really important. So we've met it before, and I believe you should have all seen the NUS partnership video already in previous webinars. But if somebody could, in a sentence, or all in a sentence, around what you think partnership means, obviously in a quality and student context, I know what partnership means in other senses of the word. I'm getting married to someone here. I'm talking about quality. Type down what you think partnership is. Yep. Thanks. Joint outcome. Nice guy relationship to make decisions, solve problems, and solutions. And I think that, Gail, you said there, I think that the tail end of that to me is what's really important. As you might recall from the video, taking a partnership approach means that we, as a central kind of, or you as a students' union, which is a central institution, devolves power to decision making to where the people who it affects the most. So the staff and the students that are going to experience that decision. So I think you may remember from the video there's an example of anonymous marking, where you can have a centrally designed policy that says students should be marked on its merits, not on who they are. But how that is delivered would be so fundamentally different for a musician than it would be for a biology student. So using standardized policies does not really inhabit what partnership is. It's about devolving that decision making so people can make the decisions that are right for them in their communities. So staff and students work together to make those decisions. I mean, for us, kind of at the nationally and institutionally, where we've kind of got to, and why I brought up the review earlier, is that talk about how we focusing on the education. Sometimes we can get very, very caught up in the inputs and the process, and is there a committee for this? Is there a committee for that? Are you following? Do you have 6 course reps on your course? But actually, so what we should be checking is that the thing we think an education should be delivered, and that if we think that an education should be delivering partnership, can we see that happening? Now, the which that a course anonymously marked is less important to us, as long as the outcome is that students' work is marked for the merits, not for who they are. Does that make sense to people? If you're kind of with me on that.
Comment in the chat box from Rianne, if you'd just like to look at that, Beth.
And I haven't got that.
Some of the in this session are from institutions, as well as student unions.
Oh, fantastic. Hello, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so some of the conversation might have been a bit tailored towards SU staff, but I think we can understand it from the other perspective as well. Really.
Actually, all of it's true for institutions as well, about how we and use partnership well, and thinking about institutionally, how do we make sure that we're looking at the outcomes of education. So we're an institution or in a students' union, we can often fall down the same trap, but we checking that the outcomes are being met and negotiating those outcomes together as an institution of what do we want our education to look like. Kind of end of the session, and actually as an institution you should also be responding to the HEFGI consultation, so find out who's doing that, how you can get involved with that. But my final kind of food for thought, and this isn't something to be discussed, but something I'd like you to go away and think about, is what outcomes of your institution's education be, and how would you know that those things are being delivered? One of the features that we have in Assure Equality is find a measure that is related to that thing, and often we come up with proxies that we know don't quite measure the thing, but is the best that we have. And with this opportunity, what other ways can we measure the outcomes of education? Hope that's been interesting. Apologies, I didn't realise there were institutional staff in the room. I would have tailored my content a little bit more appropriately otherwise, but hopefully it's been some food for thought.
Thank you, Bethan, and thank you, Catherine. So I think there's 2 really great presentations there. I hope you all found it useful and beneficial and give you some food for thought. If you've got any questions, like last time, if you just want to comment in the comment box, and Catherine and Bethan will stick around, as well as myself, for a little bit to answer any questions for you. And thank you very much for coming today. And the online discussion will be on Friday. I did make a mistake in the email that I sent on on last Friday. It'd say good morning in the email as well. It was just Tired Friday. So yeah, the online discussion for this will be on Friday. So as there's questions, Bethany and Catherine can input. Your student forum process, what is it well received about it? What feedback have you had? Are you off mute? Hang on. Oh no. Catherine, take you off mute.
I'm taking off Mel.
No.
Yeah, there we go.
Hi.
Hello.
Basically, the staff student forums, they're not well received by those that are documenting it. The students tend not get the satisfaction out of the meeting, what they're looking for, and the academics go off and do what they want to do, and it just gets bad press all the time. And I'm keen to change the process or influence the change, and I just wondered what other people do to give them some idea what might work.
Yeah, I think we'll be there. So what's the purpose of the forum, if I mean?
The first one of them is really to look at the AERs as to the path for the years and just dissect that, if you like, and get the students' input on it and the feedback and the action plan to move it forward. And then the second meeting is looking at all things about their programme, because they are programme specific. They might be grouped into like programmes, but then the students sit with the tutors and everything's documented. And then this feeds up into, we have a departmental quality committee, and that's a more tailored. It starts to get a little bit more formal as it goes up, and then eventually goes on to the Faculty Academic Quality and Standards Committee, and onwards and upwards. And it's that first level meeting, and it doesn't sit well, if you know. I don't know what else to say. They don't like it.
Well, the concept sounds perfect, really. You would think that would go well, but sometimes if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you're right to be thinking about away from it, really, because if it's not getting good work, that's not good for anybody. Because we'd rather that students feel they're being listened to. I'm trying to think of some good examples that I can think of. One, obviously I don't know your structure that well, is much more closer to programme level and away from forums. So there's an institution I know, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but it would take make it part of their staff student liaison meetings.
Yeah. I think you should say that. We used to have programme quality committees, which were well received, so we changed it to staff student forums, which now are not well received. And when you just can't please everybody all the time, but it's what's getting the worst press.
Yeah. How many people do a forum cover? Because I think it sounds like they're quite large events.
They can be, yeah. Because they're all knitted, the people actually, not a minute as in a committee meeting minute, set of minutes. It really is just notes on a template. But because if they're done individually, you're looking at so they have to be grouped, and then grouping them in themselves makes it a bit, I suppose, unyielding. And I think you get the more forceful person who'll get their point across, where others will sit quietly. So yeah.
I think sometimes it might be about self-evaluation of a course level, including outcomes of, so when courses themselves, so rather we expect most courses to have a student staff committee just for that course, really that feeding their annual monitoring. So I'm kind of recognising, and so rather than taking to annual monitoring areas to fix kind of the 3 positives and 3 negatives and what they've done to resolve them, that can sometimes work. Sometimes it can be down to structure. How you structure, it can be down to how interactive it is. Are they getting to talk?
And I mean because I've run those big forums, they get a bit large, you can lose the end of it really. Yeah.
I was going to go on to the GIST mail and just bombard and anybody got any suggestions?
Get onto GIST mail. That's my advice. And like I said, have a look through chapter B5 because we've got some good practice guides in there.
I don't know whether.
Yeah. People are doing some interesting things, so have a look at those.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I know you've got it for that, haven't you? But
There's some talk going on here, kind of about equal partnerships. I think Bethan, yes, she is typing, but Bethan, if you do want to, you can take off your mute as Catherine has stopped.
Now typing and talking. So I think we've just for those of you still in the room, as it were, Ben, Bill, and I have been having a little bit of a discussion about whether partnerships can be equal, and I think it's equal to be a partnership. Now, I'm not saying that's something that's easy to achieve, but I think if you go back to the base of putting the power in the how decisions are experienced, that makes that much more easy to get some of those underlying drivers that you kind of mentioned, Ben, about when feel that they're paying or that staff feel they're being paid to give their opinions. It's when it's about creating going to deliver together, it becomes less about opinions and more about how are we actually going to do. So if you have to deliver it as well, make sure that it's going to be something the best that you can do, rather than just I'm going to kind of state university's line, or I'm going to state, the student's line, the students' union line. If you have to deliver that for yourself, or it's something that you're going to experience, then you have much more of a stake in making sure that it's something that can actually work, compromise with, I'd say. But yeah, Ben or Phil or anyone, yeah, Chip, exactly. Phil, did you say you had a mic, or do you not have a mic? Yeah. You did mention that you run a quite interesting program. I think you mentioned in the chat earlier. Would you be happy to chat about that for just a bit? There, you be on the mic now.
Hi.
There we go. Yeah, we've got you.
Excellent. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So basically, our institution, we set up a project actually bringing students and academics together to work on quality enhancement projects as equal partners. And then actually as part of that project, what we encourage is that they actually publish together. So each year we showcase the work they do at the annual Learning and Teaching Conference. And we've actually had students go on to present at CEDA and present nationally the work they've done. We're third year of delivering the project now, and some of the results we've seen have been absolutely fantastic. It's still quite small, but what we're trying to do is actually get it embedded now. Instead of running it out of LTE, Learning and Teaching Enhancement, which is where it sits, next year we're actually hoping to embed it within the faculty structures, and therefore kind of give it continuity and sustainability.
That's really exciting. Phil, saying what institution you're from?
Sure, it's Canterbury Christchurch.
Canterbury Church. There you go. Everybody now where to go and find out more information about that.
I should say as well, I mean, the really important part of it was that this work was actually started while I was on the other side of the fence. I was student union president. Yeah. And I think the university were quite forward-thinking in realising that instead of just sort of, letting that project die, they actually created a space for it, and have to admit, and a job for me. But it's been brilliant because I've now been able to run the project from the other side and actually get buy-in, as it were, from the students.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. That's really exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, I'll be back on mute now, Phil. Feels really cruel. Right, does it have any other questions or?
Yeah, I think that's been a really good discussion there. Anything else?
Thanks, Phil.
Brilliant. Well, it's all about kind of networking amongst practitioners. Brilliant. Okay, so no one else has got any questions for today. I will send out an email at the end of today with any documents that we kind of said during the webinar that we would send out in terms of the annual student submissions. I'll send that out and some details for the HEFGI website, which Bethan mentioned. So again, thank you for all coming on today, and I'll see you all on Friday, but I will speak to you on Friday at 3:30. So thank you again for all coming. Thank you. Bye. Smiley face.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my God. Okay. How do I find it?
Yeah, it was good. I'm so sorry. I did not realise it was. As soon as you said it, I was like, it's TSEP. Of course, it's got institutional.
Don't worry. No, I don't think it kind of made too much difference. Really. Yeah. Good. I like the discussion and the questions at the end. Isn't it really weird just like talking into the computer?
I hate it. I've done a couple of these and I hate it. It's cool.
I know, it's really awkward because I can't see anyone's facial expressions and see if they're nodding or they're just like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
I just put a log in I'm in my living room and I put another log in the fire and the room just got so warm and I was like, I can't I'm on video now, I can't just walk and open the door.
Things happen. Well, no, it went good for doing it today.
Anything else I can do?
Yeah, I've got the online discussion on Friday, which is always so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Because some of them don't have mics and some of them do, so it's really hard to kind of facilitate discussion.
What time's happening?
3:30 on Friday.
I think I'm at a conference, so I can't, I'm afraid.
No worries. I've got Ellie with me, so we try and work it out between us, and it's just a bit awkward because you can't see people's faces and stuff, but yeah. I'm glad there were 8 of them that turned up. We've got about 10 signed up.
It's not bad attrition rate.
Not bad. Any of them have said, I can't make this one or that one out of the whole, because it's on for 3 weeks. So it's not bad. But it is a pilot. It's a pilot version to see how it goes, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you anyway. And I'm glad you found it, logging and everything all right.
Really easy.
Good, cool. I'll end the session now, and I will see you in the next few days.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.
Bye.